"We're not Europe's refugee camp." Italy's new hardline interior minister spells out tough new migrant policy on visit to Sicily as 50 drown in the Med trying to reach Europe. Italy's new hardline interior minister Matteo Salvini has said common sense is needed to stop the country from being Europe's refugee camp as he visited a migrant center in the south. The new deputy prime minister in Italy's populist coalition government traveled to Sicily, one of the country's main refugee landing points, to push the anti-immigration platform that propelled him to power. "Italy and Sicily cannot be Europe's refugee camp," he told a crowd of supporters under the blazing sun in the southern Sicilian town of Pozzallo, a migration hotspot. "Nobody will take away my certainty that illegal immigration is a business. And seeing people make money on children who go on to die makes me furious," he added. His comments came as more than 50 migrants drowned in the Mediterranean on Sunday, with 48 bodies found off Tunisia's southern coast and 9 Syrians, including 7 children, killed when their vessel sank off the coast of Turkey. The port town of Pozzallo is also on the migration front line as one of the main landing points for refugees fleeing war, persecution and famine across North Africa and the Middle East. A crowd of enthusiastic supporters and a smaller group of protesters had earlier gathered in front of the gates of the town's migrant center, where Salvini would give his speech, trading insults and nearly coming to blows. One protester brandished a sign saying "Refugees welcome," while a supporter said "We don't want any more pests," and others simply chanted "Matteo, Matteo." After delivering his speech, Salvini went inside the center to meet some of the 158 people who had landed in Pozzallo when they were rescued by a humanitarian boat on Friday. The rescue operation, which was coordinated by the Italian Coast Guard, happened just hours after Salvini took his oath of office, and said he would ask his ministry's experts how to reduce the number of arriving migrants and increase the number of expulsions. "The good times for illegals is over, get ready to pack your bags," he said on Saturday. More than 50 migrants drowned in the Mediterranean on Sunday, the majority off the coasts of Tunisia and Turkey. Tunisian authorities said 48 bodies were recovered off the country's southern coast, close to the city of Sfax, while 68 people were rescued. The boat had a maximum capacity of 75 to 90 people, but there were more than 180 of us, said Walfridjani, a Tunisian survivor from the southern region of Gabes. While water leaked into the boat, some passengers jumped into the sea and drowned, he told AFP. The latest death toll was published around 7 p.m., after the search and rescue operation had ended for the day. The hunt for survivors would continue on Monday morning, Mohamed Salah Sagalma from Sfax's naval base told AFP. Tunisians and migrants regularly try to cross the Mediterranean to seek a better future in Europe, with 120 mainly Tunisians rescued by their navy in March after trying to reach Italy. In October, a collision between a migrant boat and a Tunisian military ship left at least 44 dead, in what Prime Minister Youssef Chaid called a national disaster. The latest shipwreck is the most deadly in the Mediterranean since February 2 when 90 people drowned off the coast of Libya, according to the IOM. Across the Mediterranean, 9 Syrians including 7 children drowned when their vessel sank off the coast of Turkey. The group were traveling in a speedboat intending to head illegally to Europe, when the boat hit trouble off the coast of the southern Antalya province, state media reports said. The oldest child to drown was 14 and the youngest just 3, according to the Anadolu news agency. 6 adults were reportedly rescued including a couple who lost 5 of their children in the disaster. Turkey was the main sea route for migrants to Europe in 2015, when more than 1 million people crossed to Greece. That year 3,771 people were recorded as dead or missing in the Mediterranean by the United Nations Refugee Agency. So far this year, 32,601 migrants and refugees have survived the sea crossing and 649 have been recorded as dead or missing. A deal struck with the EU in 2016 has drastically reduced the amount of people trying to make the sea crossing, although observers say the numbers have been ticking up again in recent months. The focal point for Mediterranean migration in recent years has been Italy, where more than 700,000 migrants have arrived since 2013. On Sunday, the country's new hardline interior minister, Matteo Salvini, headed to Sicily, one of the main landing points for those rescued at sea, to push his anti-immigration agenda. His predecessor signed a controversial deal with authorities and militias in Libya, the key departure point on the route to Italy, which has driven down overall arrival numbers by 75% since last summer. But Salvini has pledged to go further still, vowing to cut the number of arrivals and speed up deportations. "The good times for illegals is over, get ready to pack your bags," he said Saturday at a rally in Italy's north. The latest arrivals, some 158 people, were rescued by a humanitarian boat and reached southern Sicily on Friday. Meanwhile, Spanish maritime rescue units said Sunday they have picked up 240 migrants since the start of the weekend, with one person reported drowned. Migration will be high on the agenda Tuesday when EU interior ministers meet in Luxembourg and discuss the bloc's contested Dublin rule, under which would-be refugees must file for asylum in the first member country they enter. Many of those landing on the Mediterranean coast see their arrival point as a pathway to their final destination, but the Dublin rule and tightening border checks have meant migrants are increasingly stuck in southern Europe. However, while he retained the fighting tone that helped spur his rise to power, he did temper his words when it came to NGOs organizing rescues at sea, which he has previously called smugglers and accused of complicity with people traffickers. "I think it's better to spend money in the countries of origin, and now if there are NGOs that want to work for free, that's fine," Salvini said. The leader of the far-right League Party also said the new government would not take a hard line on immigration but one of common sense. His fellow deputy prime minister, head of the anti-establishment Five-Star movement Luigi Di Maio, has also called rescue NGOs taxis on the sea, although his rhetoric on immigration is more measured than that of the League. Salvini is on the road seeking to rally support for his party's candidates in municipal elections later this month, as part of a broader effort to boost the traditionally northern party's profile in the country's poorer south. European Union interior ministers will meet on Tuesday to discuss possible reforms of the EU's controversial Dublin rule, whereby would-be refugees must file for asylum in the first bloc member state they enter. However, Salvini said he would not be attending, as he will be in Italy's parliament for a confidence vote on the new coalition with Five-Star. Salvini has condemned the Dublin rule as unfairly burdening Mediterranean countries and leading to an obvious imbalance in management, numbers and costs. The accord does heavily penalize Italy, which has seen more than 700,000 migrants arrive since 2013. Previously, the vast majority would continue their journeys to northern Europe, but the introduction of EU-backed processing centers to ensure migrants are identified at their first European entry point and tighter border controls installed by France, Switzerland and Austria are now creating roadblocks along this well-worn route. A controversial agreement between Italy's former center-left government and authorities and militias in Libya has triggered a decline in overall arrivals of some 75% since the summer of 2017. But so far this year Italian authorities have still registered more than 13,500 arrivals.